is high drama all set with the shows we saw. Well, let's start out with Joey Merlot's onset with Theda Bara. It's a hodgepodge of scenes that takes you on a merry chase, meeting some folks of forgotten lore, some folks that cry nevermore, and a father of dogged determination to find his wayward, genderqueer daughter Iris, who goes by they pronouns. Masterful solo performer David Greenspan, seated at the head of a long table designed by Frank Oliva, circles the room, strides and lays on the table, leans against the Stacy DeRosier lighted walls in a jaunty suit by Avery Reed to the startling sound of Brandon Bowles as he relates a rather lurid and convoluted tale of long ago silent screen vamps who had become consumer of souls and impressionable organists. Will the father be able to track down his daughter? What does a 138-year-old screen legend have to do with any of this? Why is Iris even running away when she seems to have a rather accepting father? Which is worse, a possessive father or a possessive movie star? At least the father has the daughter's interest in heart, while Theda is all about her. Whether these questions are answered satisfactorily or you can even make sense of the plot and characters is not important. David Greenspan gives such a stunning performance that you are left slack-jawed and open-mouthed in horror and a marvel. David Greenspan is the eighth wonder of the world the way he tells his story, and I gave this a major happy face.
I agree. This was wonderful because of David Greenspan's energetic and amazing performance. The lighting, those kind of lamps overhead, remind me of 40s film noir with detectives interrogating people, and the father looking for the wayward daughter is a detective. So it mixes all these weird film genres. I would like to know more about the real Theda Bara, born Theodosia Goodman in Ohio, and how they made her a star, and how this Jewish woman ended up becoming Arab deaf. At any rate, it's a lot of fun. I encourage you to go. Have fun and be scared. Happy face. In Dominique Morisseau's Sunset Baby, Kenyatta goes to the New York City apartment of Nina, his now adult daughter, whom he hasn't seen since she was a very young child. He wants the letters that his wife, Ashanti X, Nina's mom, wrote to him but never sent. Kenyatta and Ashanti were both important figures in the 1970s West Coast Black Power movement. They named their daughter Nina after the singer activist Nina Simone, hoping that she would be part of the next generation to struggle for revolution and freedom. Instead, she's now a hardened young woman who prostitutes herself and, along with her thug boyfriend Damon, extorts money from her Johns. Damon and Nina dream of giving up urban street life to retire somewhere peaceful and foreign. Damon, too, is separated from his son, DJ. The performers all gave the impression that their characters are withholding much that they wouldn't show, and that there was much that they were not conscious of that was probably guiding their behavior. Ms. Morisseau is a fine writer of dialogue, and this play is fast-paced and exciting. I gave it a happy face.
I was distracted because I got there like kind of late, so I didn't have time to read all the literature they were throwing at me because there was a lot of like instructions and stuff. So I was completely unaware that they wanted you to yell at the actors and go, uh-huh, and make all these comments and basically like you're yelling at the TV screen at the Super Bowl or something. But I mean, I'm like thinking, how can the actors carry on with all the audience carrying on like that? And the thing is, I was really enjoying the play. That's just it. This is a good play. And I'm sorry, but Dominic Morrison should not have given those instructions because it was so interesting and well done, and the acting was good, and it was good conflicts, but you kept getting taken out of the action of the play by the action of the audience. I'm giving it a happy face minus because I just find that the yelling part of it. I went to deepest, darkest Brooklyn, where David Herskovitz from Target Margin, along with the company, created Remember This Trick, which refers to many tricks, card tricks, tricks of survival, and tricks of being brave. This unusual Purim spiel of Ahasuerus, Vashti, Mordecai, Esther, and Haman is interrupted with dark Jewish humor, an anthropologist study of old Jewish people, stories of Holocaust and Irving Berlin tune, and matching the anti-Semitism of Haman with today's conspiracists. The versatile cast assumed many roles and costumes and wigs, making each part their own. I was familiar with most of the punchlines that packed a punch given the context, so I was laughing before they even got there. Purim is my favorite holiday, and it will be on March 23rd this year, so this gets a happy face. And I just have to explain the different background because afterwards it was very gusty and a fence knocked me into the street and busted my knee and I can't walk. So my ability to do things is limited at the moment. But I'm still giving this play a happy face.
Job is now in his second extension at the Connolly Theater following a sold-out run at the Soho Playhouse. It's a psychological thriller that left me on the edge of my seat quite literally for its entirety. It delves into the mind of a female patient mandated by her unnamed big tech employer to attend therapy. What unfolds is a tense game of cat and mouse between a calm and collected therapist and a disheveled patient with hidden depths. The play's strength lies in its masterful portrayal of complex characters. Both Peter Friedman and Sidney Lemon delivered phenomenal performances, bringing life into characters whose motivations remain ever shifting, challenging the audience's perceptions and keeping them guessing throughout. The minimalist staging, confined to a therapist's office, amplifies the intensity of the interactions, leaving you feeling like a fly on the wall during a deep personal session. While the plot boasts unexpected twists and turns, I found the show's exploration of reality and fiction particularly intriguing. The play skillfully blurs the lines, leaving certain aspects to the audience to decipher, sparking thought-provoking reflections long after the final curtain falls. However, the use of ticking sound effects and lighting shifts to represent the patient's inner turmoil felt slightly overdone, occasionally distracting from the dialogue and character dynamics. While I appreciate the attempt to immerse the audience in the character's mind, I found it more distracting than enlightening. Despite this minor caveat, Job remains a powerful and intriguing piece of theater. It excels in its exploitation of mental health, big tech, and the effects of social media on our collective sanity. But its most haunting insight lies in expanding the internet's dark secret. Its ad engine thrives on mental ruins. Recommended for fans of psychological thrillers, character-driven dramas, and anyone who enjoys a stimulating post-show discussion. I rate this a happy face.
I saw Sean Daniels' The White Chip a few years ago at 59 East 59th Street, and I'm so glad it's back because it's about the making and unmaking of an alcoholic in vivid detail. From the age of 12, when the author got his first nasty taste of beer with a childhood buddy, to the inevitable conclusion about how alcohol can derail your life, we are on a crash course which even includes blackboard and chalk. Joe Tapper, who portrays the protagonist, starts out as a Mormon until his mom decides to leave the religion. His mom is an interesting character, as she is very prickly towards her son, with her constant rejoinder of, fuck you, yet she obviously loves and cares for her son. His father is very low-key kind and develops Parkinson's later. How Joe deals with his dad's Parkinson and his own alcoholism is all very delusional. Joe becomes a very successful theater director at a very prestigious theatrical organization. He impulsively has relationships. He's on top of the world, thinking he has his alcohol intake under control and very well scheduled. Car crashes, broken relationships, sickness doesn't deter him. Nobody is calling him out as he is working in Kentucky, where drinking bourbon is a natural state of being. Plus, he is wildly successful at schmoozing donors, getting audiences and getting high praise for his productions while he is high. He does make feeble attempts to sober up at AAs, where one is given a white chip just for saying one wants to quit. He collects a lot of white chips. Does he finally come out at the other end of drunkenness and get his life and relationships back? Can his family or friends or colleagues help him? Which higher power works? Jesus, Jews, or science? This is fascinating. Never have the effects of alcoholism been so keenly illustrated by such an incredible cast that I was pulled into this vodka-infused voyage from the get-go. This is one of the best plays I've seen. Anyone who has ever been an alcoholic, is an alcoholic, knows an alcoholic should definitely see this. Even knowing nothing about alcoholics, one should see this. It is that good. Major happy face. Just one chance to see it tonight.
At New York Theater Workshop, you can see I Love You So Much I Could Die, written and performed by Mona Piernaut and directed by Lucas Knapp. Mona is seated at a desk with a computer and a lamp and a guitar nearby, but she's facing away from us and she doesn't look at us or turn toward us until her final bell. This is very disconcerting. She tells stories and she alternates with some little songs that she made up. The stories are given to us by a text to voice computer system, and it's a male voice, again, very distancing. The stories deal with some happy events, her falling in love and moving in with someone, and some not so happy things happening in her family in Florida. Again, I just couldn't really get so involved in it because she was withholding so much. So I gave it mixed faces.
I happen to love the play. The most wonderful things come out of New York Theater Workshop. This was one of them. I love the fact that we didn't see her at all, her back, until the very end. I enjoyed the songs and I love the stories and the recorded voice of telling these stories. I just thought it was a unique, wonderful performance, and I would give it many, many happy faces. It's one of the plays that I could actually see again.
Talking Band has now gone from the Perelman Center to La Mama, where they usually are, with Existentialism, which was created and directed by Anne Bogart in collaboration with Talking Band's Ellen Maddow and Paul Zimet.
I loved the play. It brought me back to my college years because I was very interested. I read everything about existentialism. And in fact, I misinterpreted it when I was in college. And I thought it gave me no freedom. But on the other hand, it gave me the freedom to do and be anything that I wanted. And I just love the way they portrayed it. And the two characters, Paul and Ellen, were wonderful. And they were typing throughout and reading things and thoughts. And it was much about life and how we live it and coming to terms with life. So I just gave it many happy faces.
At MCC is Jonathan Mark Sherman's The Connector, conceived by Daisy Prince with music and lyrics by Jason Robert Brown and directed by Daisy Prince. It's about a prestigious magazine circa late 90s and a brash young man who joins their ranks. The Connector is about to celebrate their 50th year, started under the youthful vision for truth and investigation to speak for their generation of the 60s. Now they have a partner in Veronica Cross Ifra, whose main concern is the color of the walls for the best productivity. Conrad O'Brien, the editor-in-chief, is still trying to maintain those standards that have nothing to do with wall colors. Helping him out is Muriel, fact-checker extraordinaire, Zachary, the lawyer who keeps things above board, and Robert Henshaw, one of the star writers, and lowly Robin Martinez, the copywriter, but who has aspirations to have her own articles published and get her own bylines. But being a woman in a boys' club makes this rather difficult. Entering this world is Ethan Dobson, straight out of Princeton, whose article in the Prestonian was praised by Conrad's wife. Now is his opportunity to write for the only magazine that he always wanted to be a part of his whole life. His stories take off immediately, grabbing the attention of Mona Bland, an avid reader of the Connector. He writes about Scrabble Whiz Waldo and taking down a corrupt politician with his source Willis. How far will Ethan Dobson take the Connector? Will anyone ever take Robin seriously? How important are Mona's letters to the magazine? This is a fascinating look at trying to put out a publication with 60s standards in a 90s world. Can it be done? Thinking about it in today's society makes one question even more. Where does truth or a good story fit in? Can they be the same? Ben Levy-Ross had that manic, ambitious, charismatic charm that bulldozed over you. And I got into the understudy, Ashley Perez Flanagan, stepping in for Hannah Cruz, had the earnest determination to succeed in a man's world and not be defined as anyone's girlfriend. So lovely to see Scott Bakula back on stage, even if he was rather pig-headed in his chauvinistic mentorship of Ethan, who reminded him of his younger self. I give this a major happy face.
I agree with you. I absolutely love any play that deals with writing because I'm a writer. And I love Mona Bland. And I loved the fact check woman. She came in and was criticizing everything.
Jessica Malosky was a fact checker.
I had to laugh every time she came because I know she would like disembowel everything that was said that came before it.
Plus, it made the lawyer's job a lot easier, too.
I gave it many happy faces.
Me too. Damon Chua's Warrior Sisters of Wu takes place in China towards the end of the Han Dynasty around 200 AD. This is from Pan-Asian Society, Pan-Asian Rep. And I apologize if I get the names all wrong for the characters. Lord Shao must come to terms that this sleazy minor relative, cousin Shi, will inherit his estate when he dies because he has no male heirs. Just two rather fierce daughters that he trained to be warriors and think for themselves. Cousin Shi thinks that by marrying King, he is being very gracious. King has other ideas and doesn't want to ever get married and be ruled by a man. Very Kate in Taming of the Shrew. Meanwhile, Wan, her sister, wants to marry Zhu Yu, a general second in command and BFF with Sun Ce, general and co-founder and founder chief of the Kingdom of Wu. It turns into much ado about nothing when Wan and Zhu Yu manipulate Sun Ce and King, two very proud individuals, into thinking about the other in a possibly romantic and equal way. Standing in the way is King's desire to lead men into battle, which is unheard of for women back then. Also, she follows Taoism, while Sun Ce is strictly a Confucius follower. Will they get out of their own way to discover that they really are meant for each other? This abounds in sword and wordplay, philosophical notions from Tao and Confucius amidst the struggles of power of Cao Cao, who also has designs on King and is possibly writing her poems while trying to take over a kingdom. This was absolutely wonderful, but it takes place in 200 AD, but the language is very anachronistic and very 21st century. So once you get kind of over that kind of like, what? It's brilliant. Oh my God, it's the most exciting. Me and my friend couldn't stop talking about it. We loved it so much. So major happy face. Bina and I went to see Rattlestick Theater's Dale Orlando Smith's Spiritus, Virgil's Dance. And Bina's going to talk about it more. You'll hear what I have to say on Facebook. It's basically a play about time and death.
I have never seen Dale live before. Very strange enough to say that. I saw one of her shows on Zoom called Until the Flood, which I liked a lot. You see, this show is, when you go in, the set is like magically mysterious. Lighting is very good. She has a great stage presence. The subject matter is kind of a family life story. As time is passing, as people are dying, mother dies, father dies. And it was very disturbing for me personally because I have lost three loved ones: my brother, my sister-in-law, his wife, and my sister, and in like within a year and a half. So I'm sorry that this show was not kind of for me. I wasn't really ready. We usually say happy face, unhappy face, mixed face. I don't think it'll be fair to her for me to give her a theater face, but I'm very sad and I relate to the show that way, but I could not really relate with the grief I'm going through right now, and it all brought it all back. So I can give a sad face.
Rachel Bond's Jonah is filled with complicated and rather confusing relationships. Anna has gotten a scholarship to a fancy school. It gets her away from an abusive stepfather. She meets Jonah, who pursues her. She has a stepbrother, Danny, that she is very close with. Later on at a writing retreat, she meets Stephen, who likes to feed her. Lots of talk and attempts at sex. I have no idea what was real or possibly imaginary. The acting was good enough to hold my attention, but the play just left me puzzled. Mixed face.
Playing at Theater Uzume is Nancy Monokarian's The Tiger's Bride, a fully immersive play based on the legend of Bluebeard and his many wives. It is set in a 4-story townhouse. There is no seating. You have to run up and down 4 flights of stairs to see a total of anywhere between 4 to 7 different vignettes that are going on that cumulatively lead towards the ending of the play. It is a combination fairy tale and aerialist circus where you have people dressed in characters like Red Riding Hood, or you have beautifully dressed women on trapezes performing stunts that I couldn't do if I was on the ground. It's an interesting premise. There were some times when music from one vignette drowned out the people of another vignette that were trying to talk, so that was a little disconcerting. But overall, it was based on the legend of the medieval knight Gilles de Retz, who was a serial murderer and bride marrier. If you like theater of the macabre or the French 19th century Grand Guignol theater, this would definitely be for you. I give it a happy face.
This is Noah Miller's review of 12 Angry Men, presented by Citygate Production and the Stone Circle Theater. It's written by Reginald Rose, but the stage version is by Sherman L. Sergel. 12 Angry Men illustrates the age-old problems of racism, bigotry, and hatred set in New York City in 1953. 12 white men on a jury have to decide the fate of a young Hispanic boy accused of murdering his father. As we meet each of the men on the jury panel, we gain insight into their backgrounds, their mindsets, as well as their fears and prejudices. The play opens with the jurors almost all agreeing the accused is guilty, all except one man, who throughout the rest of the play makes it his mission to change the minds of his fellow jurors. The audience immediately gets caught up in the drama, and by the second act, we, the audience, start to feel a sort of anxiousness about the case, almost as if it was real. Will this Hispanic boy who is never seen on stage be found guilty or not guilty of murder? If I had to judge this play, which I am doing by way of critique, I'd say it was good theater beyond any reasonable doubt. Happy face. Ed Rubin saw Deadly Stages, but we haven't been able to get his review yet. So I'm going to give you the press release, and his review will be on the Facebook page. It's a gender-bending homage to the backstage murder mystery movies of the 40s and 50s, written by Mark Castle and Mark Finley, directed by Mark Finley. Deadly Stages tells the tale of Broadway legend Veronica Traymore as she takes a desperate stab at securing her next smash hit. She thinks she found it in Anthony Arlo's new show until murder makes its entrance. Will her new show arrive to the Great White Way for her coveted opening night, or will it be curtains for her? Paying homage to the classic and not so classic backstage films of the 40s and 50s when Hollywood was looking to Broadway for inspiration, the timeless whodunit genre is reimagined and turned on its side in a fast-paced, fun, and funny tribute to the golden age in entertainment. Each playing multiple roles, who in our cast of 6 will kick the bucket and who will carry on? Join us to find out, as all will be answered for those who survive deadly stages. So our next show is March 23rd. And some other things going on that we haven't had a chance to talk about is March 9th is Spit and Vigor's Grind, and more is going on with Spit and Vigor. So check out Spit and Vigor. We like them. And Rashada Abrams is going to be doing a new show called Big Mama and Me at the Episcopal Actors Guild on March 9th, 7:30. And Le Douleur at Florence Gould Hall will be going on March 13th and 14th at 7:30. And coming to 54 Below is lots of stuff. Christine Andreas on March 9th, Broadway's Greatest Hits, Scott Siegel continuing. In Trousers, March 12th. Melba Moore, March 15th and 16th. And Leslie Uggam, who we just saw in Jelly's Last Jam, will be there from March 20th to 23rd. And at the Flea, you've got Parody Productions' Maiden Voyage going on till March 17th. And there's this book, Miss Priss and the Pirate, a historical romance novel by bestselling author Fran Baker, which you can look into. Mint Theater is streaming Becomes a Woman until March 17th. This Is Not a Time for Peace is from New Light Theater Project, my favorite theater company, and that's going on until March 16th. And Sketchy Eastern European Show at the Playhouse Theater is going on until March 24th. And at 5090 59th Street Theaters, you had the Slow Dance till March 23rd, and Labyrinth Theater Stripped until March 24th. Also, at 92nd Street Y, March 18th at 7:30 p.m. is a very special event, at least to me. Josh Radnor, who's right now in The Ally, is going to be talking with Itamar Moses, who wrote it. And it's going on right now at the Public. And it is the most incredible play about being Jewish right now. It clarifies what I have been grappling with a few years. I mean, this poor low-key guy, he doesn't want to get involved and make waves, and yet he's being pulled and pushed in all sorts of directions by you know, the Palestinians, the Israelis, the African Americans, and all he's trying to do is keep his head down, but it forces him to really realize what it is to be a Jew in today's world and what's going on. And I'm going to write a very concentrated review on Facebook about this once I get my thoughts together. In the meantime, I will see you on our next show, March 24th.